happy Friday to the world of Facebook and YouTube and wherever you might be seeing this video at. I am excited to bring my friend on today. His name is Scott Hofmeister. Did I say it correctly? Hofmeister?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay. Got the pleasure of, I actually follow him on Facebook. I think we follow each other in the social realm, but we got the pleasure of meeting the other day. And I just said, listen, I got to bring you on. We've got to do this. And we've got some really good info for you. Scott is a mortgage broker, considered a mortgage broker or loan originator.
Yep. Loan consultant. Yep.
Yeah. Extraordinaire. And he's got some really cool packages and really cool products that they're talking about. And so today I just want to introduce you to Scott, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, your background, why you ended up here at the Forgotten Coast. It's probably a similar story to most of us, but take it away.
Very similar. So I'm originally from Minnesota, grew up in St. Paul area. Both my wife and I are from Maplewood. And we moved down here, found the Forgotten Coast because we had a friend that moved down here, and we vacationed down here for 3-4 years in a row and absolutely fell in love with the Forgotten Coast area. And we were like, okay, someday we are going to move here. So once COVID happened, we were like, now's the time. We have a 4-year-old son, and before he gets in school, let's get down to the Forgotten Coast and build some dreams down here. And we haven't looked back since. We absolutely love it.
Yeah. I think that is very similar to most of us. Like I don't regret 1 second of making a trip to this area. Actually, I mean, we were moving here regardless. We didn't know where we were going to end up, but this is where we ended up. We just set down our roots, and I fell in love with this community from the moment, like we were here for the Christmas parade. And that weekend, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I love this little town. It felt very, very homey, very loving, very inviting. So
everyone's so nice and inviting. It's just a small town feel that I absolutely love.
Yeah. And you said your son is 4?
He's 4 years old. Yeah, growing up quick. I actually just put a 1 year ago picture of him up on Facebook, and I'm like, wow. You don't really realize how fast they grow up until you see one of those old pics. But he loves school down here. Small community again. So just meeting the families and stuff that are in school, it's been great.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Yay. Yeah. Well, let's dive right into some questions. So when I had mentioned to other people that I was going to be interviewing you, they were like, hey, ask him a couple of things. So the first one was how, obviously with lending and interest rate hikes and the Fed continuing to raise to try to combat inflation, can you give us a quick little synopsis of what you're seeing, how that's affecting buyers, whether that's an investment buyer or whether that's someone that's, buying like just their primary home? Like, can you give us a little insight on that?
Well, I think there's two sides of it. So one is the first-time home buyer side, where I think rates are actually in a really good place right now. I say that right now as feds are kind of raising the rates again this week, but being in the 5s and 6s, those are not bad rates. Those are actually really good rates. What I'm hoping the feds don't do is raise the rates too much for the first-time home buyers, because I think the housing prices are starting nationwide to come down a little bit. I mean, it doesn't just happen overnight, but they slowly come down. You can see houses kind of start to stay on the market a little bit longer now than they did during the summer. So I think that's really good for first-time home buyers. As far as investment goes, the rates have kind of slowed down that. You kind of see more cash buyers now in a lot of places. We spent the last year and a half doing cash out refinances on homes, or seeing people pulling from different investments, maybe selling an investment property and putting it into another investment property. So the rates, obviously you got to get your cash back on those if you're going to rent or whatnot. So I think it's affecting the investment buyers more than it is first-time home buyers, because at least first-time home buyers right now are seeing some prices come down.
Yeah. And something that I have been saying to some of my people is, you're marrying the home, you're dating the rate. Like that's kind of something that has been floating around in this real estate world, which is very true. I remember being, and so my background was that I was a title closer in Kansas, where I'm originally from. And I remember sitting there at the table with people signing 8, 9, 10% interest rates on their home. And
isn't that crazy?
A good deal.
Yeah.
Like, we were getting a good deal. So I think we've just been so spoiled for so long with
Definitely.
these 2s and 3s that we've seen, which was a great space to be in. But the 5s and the 6s don't scare me because, it's all cyclical and it's going to come around. But we are starting to see some price, I talk about this a lot when I do a monthly video rewind about the month prior. And I'm like, the sellers have got to get in that space. We've got to bring them in. We've got to hit that sweet spot on the price point. And that's just where we've got to roll. So it makes sense. So good.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've seen an uptick in applications, believe it or not, for first-time home buyers in the last month. That's pretty usual because, once kids start school, some of the houses that are left over from the summer, obviously with prices coming down, maybe they have another shot at that property. So
yeah, I love that. Great. Well, speaking of first-time home buyers, now I'm going to have to tell you that my daughter, I have a daughter who will be 26 in a couple weeks, and she's got a job, got a steady boyfriend, and they're looking towards the future. And she's like, Mom, I really want you to tell me like what are the top things I need to know, that I need to have in place, that I need to know, that, what are things I can do right now to prepare myself to be that first time home buyer. And, I've told her some things that I need to know, but I'd love to throw that question out to a lender. So here you are. What things do you know about first time home buyers?
I'll just go through like the most general questions that I get from first time buyers. First off, we were just talking about how rates are affecting first time home buyers. What I say all the time, rent is 100%. So your biggest investment in your life is your house, especially when you're starting off. So don't let the rates or the price or anything kind of scare you right now, because eventually that house is going to be a good equity house that is going to pay off in the future. Some of the most basic questions that I get about first-time home buyers, it's the stuff like, well, what kind of credit score do I need to get into a house? What down payment do I need to get into a house? How much are closing costs? Those are the type of things. So I'll run through a few with you right now, just so everyone that's watching. First off, the programs that are for first-time home buyers, we have conventional loans, Fannie and Freddie Mae. We got FHA loans, which are government loans, and we have VA loans, and we have USDA loans. So there's different programs out there. Conventional loans, believe it or not, you only need 3% down to get into a house. That is the biggest myth right now, and the biggest wow effect that I get from first-time home buyers is, I don't need 10 or 20% to get into a house. No, you absolutely do not. You need 3% on a conventional loan to get into a house. Minimum credit score on conventional loans is 620. So you don't need a fantastic score to get into a house. Yes, it's nice because your score affects things like your rate and stuff like that. But 620 is the minimum. FHA loans are only 3.5% down. FHA loans are phenomenal for first-time home buyers because once you get into the loan, we'll talk more about debt to income ratios and stuff like that. But FHA allows buyers more purchasing power because they allow a bigger loan amount because of the debt to income ratio. They're only 3.5% down on an FHA loan.
Yep.
Now, VA loans, if you're a veteran out there, I love working with vets. I give vets benefits. Vets are 0% down. So obviously there's closing costs on all these loans. You can generally hardball number anywhere from 2 to 3% on closing costs. So you can factor that in. So speaking of down payment and closing costs, there are tons of programs out there for down payment assistance. You can get into a house for as little as $1,000 to $3,000, which is absolutely crazy to me. And I never knew that before I became a loan officer. And I absolutely love using those programs because it helps build for first-time home buyers. It helps them build equity for life. I mean, they're great programs to use.
Well, and I mean, a home is such a, even my financial advisor has told me, like, that maybe the stock market's down or whatever, but real estate is really what he is pushing. Like, this is where you need to be investing. And, your home is one of the biggest investments, which is why we take it so to heart. And when we are working with our clients, like, we know that this is a big step for you. But what a great investment in your life to have is real estate and your home. Like, it's a fantastic place to be. So, yeah, there's plenty of down payment assistant programs I've helped people with, like using the SHIP program. Bay County has, like, I think it's called Bay County Rehome, something like that. They've got those. So there's a lot of really, really good things in place right now that can be helpful. So if you're a first-time home buyer, definitely the way we like to work in the real estate world is we want you to work with a lender and get pre-qualified and get to know what that looks like, what you qualify for, what you would need, and then we can start and try to fit some homes that fit into that space as far as financial for you. So
yes, and make sure whether it's with us or whoever else, that if you are a first-time home buyer, one of the biggest tips I have is work with a local person, but also work with a team, a lender, realtor team, because those programs can kind of be confusing to newer agents or loan officers or whatever. So make sure you're working with someone who's done them before. So you don't want to you want to close on time and everything to go smooth. So
yes, we say the same thing when we're working with clients. We're like, they'll say, well, I've got a pre-qualification from so-and-so. And I'm like, cool. But our area, when you get near the coast, it's important that you definitely have a lender who knows what they're doing here, that can underwrite, that absolutely has been successful here, because it is different. It's different than your
completely
lender
different
from Iowa or wherever it is that like it is completely different. So well, this has been so fantastic. What is the best contact info for you if someone wanted to reach out and work with you about getting pre-qualified?
Yeah, I mean, you can call me, you can email me, you can visit my website, however you feel most comfortable. Either way, I'm going to get a hold of you as soon as you fill out that application. My website is homeswithhoff.com. My phone number is 651-371-5477. Feel free to just call me for just any basic questions. No pressure to fill out an application or anything like that. I get people that call me constantly, which I love for first-time home buyers, just to get questions answered. And one of the big tips that I have too is always contact a lender about 3 months if you're a first-time home buyer, 3 months ahead of time. So if you are not looking to buy until, say, February, you want to reach out to a lender in November or December for sure.
Yeah.
Just so we can take a look at your credit report. There could be some things that we could fix rather quickly to boost your score from a 650 to a 700,
right,
and just get your interest rate a lot better. Those types of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. And I will drop his contact info in the show notes below so that you will be able to see that. So, any last little tidbits from you, Scott?
I don't think so. Just call me. That's my tidbit. Call me, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
That's awesome. Well, I so appreciate you taking time out today to share your knowledge with us. And again, if you are looking to purchase anything, whether it's your first-time home buyers, whether it's your primary home, your secondary home, an investment home, this guy's got some really good programs out there. And I just want to thank you so much for joining us again today, and enjoy your Friday.
All right. Thanks, Nicole.
Thanks.
Take care.